Huh? An M69! Its armor would be perfect for making a shield. If I can just get it off, I should be able to... Shulk!
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's JBspherefreak, and today I'm going to be showing you exactly what Reyn could look like in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But a quick bit of background. Reyn is the best friend of Shulk from Xenoblade Chronicles. Reyn serves as the muscle of the group in more ways than one, not just having a strong body but also a strong heart, with his one goal being to protect those he cares for. Despite not being the smartest of the group, he does understand though when he needs to get serious. Reyn acts as the main tank of Xenoblade Chronicles, providing him with lots of defensive and offensive power, and a wide range of crowd control abilities. Using these ideas as a basis, I thought it would be best to make Reyn a very powerful character with large hitboxes and AoE, and moderate defensive power in terms of his weight. However, due to his smaller size compared to someone like Bowser or Donkey Kong, his overall mobility and walking speed would be far below average, probably being something very similar to Incineroar, if not slightly faster. But anyway, let's see what moves Reyn would have to beat these bunch of jokers. Let's begin with jab. I picture Reyn using the Bone Upper and Dive Sabot combo from Xenoblade as his jab, which would function very similar to Ike's jab. Heads up, I'll be comparing Reyn to Ike a lot in this video. There would be no multi-jab, and it would just send opponents away. Next, looking at F-tilt, Reyn would use his Art Wild Down, which is a large shunt forward with his driver, which is fairly slow but would have lots of active frames and be very strong, dealing moderate damage and being able to even kill at high percents. I can also see this move having the rather exclusive minor chance to trip the opponent, just to give reference that the art normally topples the enemy in Xenoblade Chronicles, but it would be a very low chance to trip, as we don't want another brawl situation on our hands. Next is down tilt. To keep it nice and simple, all I think Reyn would need is a reasonably quick stab across the floor with his driver. Similar to Marth, but without the ability to repeat it so quickly. It would more than likely be useful just for being able to two-frame someone at a ledge, and could potentially have some combo potential, but would be a pretty straightforward move overall. And to finish off the tilts is up tilt. Reyn's driver must weigh an absolute ton, and keeping that in mind, I don't think his up tilt should be the most effective move. So all I have is a simple backhand with the back of the driver above him, similar to Link's up tilt, but with much less range, much slower, and probably not as much kill potential as well. Next we'll look at smash attacks, where some real power will come in for Reyn. Starting with F smash, there is no better fit than the hammer beat art from Xenoblade, being a move with a lot of startup, raising the driver over his head to bring it straight down to the floor. Very similar to Ike's forward smash, and hitbox size and probably frame data would probably be pretty similar too. The main difference between the two, however, is Reyn actually takes a step forwards, which would give more horizontal range, but the hitbox could start later compared to Ike's, giving a little less vertical range, but would be extremely strong. Ike's F Smash also has a sweet spot and a sour spot, depending how close to the hilt of the blade the enemy is, which could be the reverse for Reyn, as the end of the driver is the blade, whereas closer to the quotations hilt of the driver is more shield-like, which could be the sour spot of the attack, although it could still probably kill fully charged at 60% on the sour spot anyway. Next is Up Smash, which would feature Reyn raising the driver into the air, almost as if he's punching the air, to be honest, just with the driver in tow. Hitbox wise, it'd be very similar to Shulk's, with 2 small hitboxes on either side, which would launch into the launcher hitbox at the end of the move. And keeping with the same theme, it'd deal a lot more knockback, have a lot longer hitbox, and probably have a fair bit more lag as well compared to Shulk's. And finally, Down Smash. Similar to a lot of characters that were added in Ultimate, Reyn will have one of those down smashes where he jumps up and then lands back down and has hitboxes either side of him. The animation and move will be in reference to his Aura Burst art, which is his only ether art in Xenoblade Chronicles, so there'll probably be some cool little visual effects on either side when he hits the ground. Hitbox wise, normally the hitboxes will actually be fairly small and won't linger for that long. However, there will be a way to make those hitboxes larger and for them to linger for longer, but I'm going to talk about that later on in the video. Next up then is aerials. Starting with neutral air, like most sword fighters, it's probably best for Reyn just to have a simple spin of the driver in midair, covering a large area, which would deal moderate damage and could even potentially be used as a combo move. Next up is forward aerial, and we're ripping this one straight out of the game, Xenoblade. There is no other choice for a forward aerial than what I've dubbed the Ricky Spike. I have already shown in a previous video what this would look like, but for those of you that missed it, here it is.
3, 2, 1, go!
As you can probably tell, it'd be very similar to Mario's forward aerial, and of course, it'd be a meteor smash. Back air would just be a backwards swing of the driver, with a similar sort of hitbox profile to Ike's back air. The move would be a lot slower compared to Ike's, however, but again, the hitbox would more than likely be active for longer, meaning you'll be able to catch more people in the actual hitbox. Up air's next, and I envision it being something similar to Up Smash, but with a little bit of an arc at the peak of it, making it mediocre for juggling, but it wouldn't really be able to catch enemies falling on either side of him like Ike's Up Air would, as an example. And then finally, Down Air, which again simply would just be a strong shunt downwards with the driver. Again, it'd probably meteor on startup, near the edge of the blade, but the hitbox would linger for quite a while, meaning it'd be fairly possible to whiff it. However, to compensate, when landing on the ground, the move would have a lot of lag behind it. Similar to Link's Down Air, when you land with that. And now we're on to the moves that really make the character, the specials. Starting off with Reyn's neutral B, which should be Activate Aura. Auras are a huge part of Xenoblade Chronicles, which wasn't really brought across in the character Shulk, which is okay considering he doesn't have an aura in the game anyway. Simply pressing neutral B would activate whichever aura Reyn had selected at the moment. Yes, whichever aura. Similar to Steve in his crafting table, Reyn should be able to shield and press B to swap between auras. Primarily Berserker and Rage, but there are options for others. Both auras would last 10 seconds and take something like 30 seconds to recharge. Berserker would be the simple damage dealing aura, increasing his damage and knockback by something like 50%. But the trade-off being, he takes 25% more damage and can get knocked back 25% more. Whereas Rage serves the opposite purpose. He would deal 25% less damage and knockback, but his weight would be increased by 25%, and he'd take 25% less damage from attacks. The reason I've lowered Rage's bonus from 50% to 25% though, is in the game, Reyn's Rage has a spike effect. Spike is basically an effect which causes damage to the enemy every time they hit you with the aura active, and something similar could go on here. Perhaps something basic like 10% of Reyn's current percent, or 10% of the damage that they're dealing. Now keep in mind, I'm not a games designer and these numbers might need to be tweaked for balance and things like that, but roughly I think this will be pretty cool. This is also the move that I mentioned before with Down Smash. Aura Burst in Xenoblade only ever works when an aura is activated. So when Reyn uses his Down Smash with an aura active, the hitboxes in this case could be larger with a larger visual effect. I don't think it'd necessarily need to be any stronger, as the Berserker aura will take care of that side of it anyway. But it'd be just another cool little nod to the world of Xenoblade Chronicles. Moving on to Reyn's side move, which would be Sword Drive. Sword Drive is by far Reyn's powerfulest art, and possibly even the powerfulest art in Xenoblade Chronicles. And how I see it functioning in Xenoblade is actually very similar to one of the Mii Brawler's custom moves from Smash Bros. 4. Specifically, his ultimate uppercut. Reyn would charge side B, which would take something like 6 to 7 seconds, and wouldn't be able to use Sword Drive until it was fully completed. And of course, hitting him in the middle of charge would interrupt it. Once fully charged, pressing side B again would unleash Sword Drive, which would be an incredibly powerful attack directly in front of Reyn. However, it would have a lot of ending lag after performing the move. But we're not just talking about kill power. In Xenoblade, Sword Drive comes out near instantly, and so we'd be talking about a move which would come out on somewhere around frame 5 and would be able to comfortably kill from 70% centre stage. It would be that strong. I imagine the hitbox being pretty respectable and pretty reasonable, however it would only last one frame, meaning it's very easy to miss, and once you've missed, you'll be very easily punished. Very much high risk, high reward move. And it would pair exceedingly well with Reyn's down B, which should be Shield Bash, which would be where Reyn jumps across the stage with his shield forward and slams it into any enemy that comes across his path, stunning them like Mewtwo's Disable. It would also potentially be able to reflect projectiles, but the cost of a move like this is again a lot of lag if you miss. Of course, the stun would vary with the opponent's percent, meaning at lower percent, they'll more than likely be able to react before you can. However, at higher percent, specifically around Sword Drive's kill range, you would be able to react first and get very, very sneaky Shield Bash Sword Drive combos to reliably finish most opponents. The move could also potentially be used for recovery in the air, pushing him forward slightly, compared to Sword Drive, which would push you back like Mewtwo's neutral B, which I forgot to mention earlier. But for his main recovery option, you'd want to use his up B, which would be War Swing. Reyn merely holds his driver out and spins in a circle. Specifically, very similar to how Link or someone like Donkey Kong performs their up B, but with a few differences. The angle, as an example of Reyn's War Swing in the air, would propel more diagonally, compared to Link's up B, which sends him straight up, and Donkey Kong's, which takes him much more vertically. It would only ever have one powerful hitbox on either side of him at once, compared to the others which have hitboxes at both sides, resulting in a recovery which, although it has options, could be fairly simple to punish, providing blind spots in the defence of the move. And the final attack up is Dash Attack, which really easily can just be based on the clip that you saw at the beginning of this video, where Reyn slams into the Crabble in Mechon armour. which would quite simply send opponents away with reasonable knockback. And then the final thing that we need to talk about is his grab and throws. His pommel could easily be a quick reference to this clip.
Chalk, I may rush in head first, but at least my head's useful for something.
Like most sword fighters, his throws probably wouldn't be anything particularly special. Forward throw could just be a mere kick away. Back throw could be the good old spin and throw like Mario. Up throw could be another reference to Bone Upper, very similar to Ike's up throw. And down throw could even be something as silly as Reyn's revival animation, where he basically just belly flops onto the floor. Rolls, air dodge and spot dodge could all be pretty simple as well. But again, I'd quite like to see that revival animation as his spot dodge, just because I think it would be a really funny animation to keep spamming. And then in terms of taunts, I don't really know what he could do through them, but we absolutely need a Reyn time taunt, a bunch of Jokers taunt, and my personal favourite.
You can't have a rainbow without Reyn, baby.
Make sure to leave a comment down below though if you've got any better suggestions of what voice lines you could use during his taunts. And then finally, to top it off, his final smash would be Chain Attack. But we'd use the remaining party members, so we'd tie in Melia and Sharla, and potentially another member from one of Shulk's animations. But kill power wise and things like that would be very similar. The only difference that we could make, because Sharla, the healer, is involved in the chain attack, is that Reyn could recover something like 20% once the chain attack is completed. Because let's face it, final smashes aren't balanced anyway, so what's the point? Overall, Reyn would be a pretty versatile character, with a lot of kill power behind a lot of his moves, but pretty slow movement speed. But with a couple of deadly combos, such as a shield bash and sword drive combo, and the ability to kill earlier with Berserker and survive longer with Rage, Reyn would require a certain finesse when playing him to get the most out of him. And in my opinion, would definitely be a worthy option to be placed onto the Smash Bros Ultimate roster. In short, he's the character that nobody is asking for, but I want. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my first video back. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe so that I can bring you even more characters which could be added into Smash Bros Ultimate in the future. But for now, peace!